Sorry, we had a problem with the camera, but let us just continue. Well, what I was saying is that men will have to get more than women, since we have just said they are above them in strength. They're supposed to look after them. So surely the brothers, if they get less, how will they maintain their families? How will they maintain their mothers, their sisters with them? Come on, it's logic. So it's very important to study this topic before commenting anything on it, be you a Muslim or a non-Muslim. I will remind you, there's a scholar from the past, Sufyan bin Uyayna. He said if you study ilm al-faraid, this like of this of inheritance, you've studied half of knowledge. Yeah, this is half of knowledge. We have to study it and understand it well. So I think I've explained it. In some instances, men receives 2 shares, women get only 1. This is not a sign of giving preference or supremacy to men over women. The reasons why men gets more in these particular instances may be classified as follows. First, man is the person solely responsible for the complete maintenance of his wife, his family, and other needy relatives. It is his duty by law to assume all financial responsibilities and maintain his dependents adequately. All financial burdens are borne by him alone. Second, in contrast, woman has no financial responsibilities whatsoever except very related over personal expenses, the highly luxurious things that she likes to have. She's financially secure and provided for. If she's a wife, husband is the provider. If she's a mother, it is the son. If she's a daughter, it is the father. If she's a sister, it is the brother, and so on. So if they get less, how will they be able to help all these people? Logic. It is noteworthy that in some instances woman receives as equal share in inheritance as a man does. For example, if a man passes away and leaves behind 2 daughters and a brother, every one of the heirs will receive 1/3 of the estate. So here the Sheikh is saying, for example, if a man passes away and leaves behind 2 daughters and a brother, every one of the heirs will receive 1/3 of the estate. So here I'm afraid there's a little mistakes, because according to the hadith of Prophet ﷺ, it happened that also Sahaba died and left behind only daughters, and the daughters, all of them, they received equally. Okay. So Allahu A'lam, I can't say anything about this Sheikh, but he's more knowledgeable than me and he's a human being. He can so according to Islam, in case the daughters have a brother, the brother will have to have more, so that he's looking after them. But here will be drawn your attention to the fact that Christianity has no laws that arrange the issue of inheritance. In Egypt, Christians apply the Islamic law of inheritance. In Judaism, the husband inherits the wife, while his wife does not inherit her husband. Moreover, the mother, according to the Jewish law, does not inherit her son or daughter. See? In Egypt, Christians apply the Islamic law of inheritance. So yeah, you have no law. Yeah, Paul told you not to follow the law. Yeah, just to see the cross. So you follow the Islamic law in Egypt. So inshallah you will follow all the Islamic law by the tawfiq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, as to the issue of hijab of the Muslim woman, I wonder how could you criticize and despise the Muslim woman's decency? Let us examine what the Holy Book says in this regard. In Timothy, we read the following: I also want women to dress modestly, with decency and propriety, not with braided hair or gold or pearls or expensive clothes, but with good deeds, appropriate for women who profess to worship God. Also, God, to beautify ourselves. These ones are not allowed, but we see Christian women wearing them. Not even following your own book. Your women don't follow even your own book. My Christian missionaries, make them understand the Bible first before turning to the Quran. You'll find it in 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 9 to 10. Yeah. In Islam, a woman may dress modestly, but there are some borders not to reveal it to those ones whom she can marry. She should, okay, but to those men who have no physical desires, her father-in-laws, people whom she cannot marry, her female slaves, she can show her beauty. In Islam, a woman can beautify herself. Allahu Jamil yuhibbul Jamal. Allah is good. He loves good. He loves beauty. So in your religion, a man can beautify himself, but a woman not. Now, I would like to shed light on the issue of polygamy, plurality of wives, and polyandry, plurality of husbands. Polygamy is permitted in Islam, while polyandry is absolutely forbidden. In Islam, polygamy is permissible under certain conditions and circumstances. It is a conditional permission and not an article of faith or a matter of necessity. This permission is valid with a maximum of 4 wives. Also, this permission is an exception to the ordinary cause. It is the last resort, the final attempt to solve some social and moral problems and to deal with inevitable difficulties. In short, it is an emergency measure, and it should be confined to this means sense only. Even Jesus says in your Gospels, whoever divorces a woman except on the grounds of unchastity, in the whole New Testament, there is no explicit word to disown polygamy. Yeah, Jesus didn't say don't do polygamy. You can marry up to the number which you like. Yeah. What about the Solomons, other King Davids who had more than one wife? Will you disown them? Will you disown Judaism? Will you disown the Old Testament, the foundation of your so-called faith, because of what they used to do? Yeah, say. So Islam allows it only under certain conditions. Yeah. The Quranic verse relevant to the subject reads as follows: if you fear that you shall not be able to deal justly with the orphans, marry women of your choice, 2, 3, or 4. But ye fear that ye shall not be able to deal justly with them, then only one, or a captive that your right hand possess. That will be more suitable. You see, these captives or those women who were slaves but could be married. They were old laws. They were not free. They were under your protection. That your right hand possess. That will be suitable to prevent you from doing injustice, like illegal sexual intercourse. So once more, those slaves were those who are working for you. It was in olden times, so the slave could also be your wife. Yeah. So the Quran tells us to marry this woman so that we don't do things in an unjust manner. If you can. The Quran just says under it that if you try to do equality between them, it will be, you will not be able to just to do with them equality. The Quran says if you go underneath this ayah, it has said whoever can't, then one. Yeah. So the choice, it has been given to you. Okay. The second thing, man is polygamous in nature. Yeah. It is a man's nature to marry more than one wife. Yeah. For even a woman, psychologically can't have more than one husband, will be the father of the son. Inshallah, I shall explain more on this topic when I'm dealing in women in Islam. Which will be my next topic. Inshallah ta'ala. The Quranic verse was revealed after the Battle of Uhud, third after Hijrah, in which many Muslims were killed, leaving behind widows and orphans for whom due to care was incumbent upon the Muslim survivors. Marriage was one way of protecting those widows and orphans. The glorious Quran made this warning and gave the choice to protect the rights of the orphans and prevent the guardians from doing injustice to their dependents, like doing prostitution. With this background, it is now apparent that Islam did not invent polygamy. Also, it did not abolish it, because if it had been abolished, that would have been in theory only, and people would have continued this practice as is observed today among other peoples whose constitutions and social standards do not approve polygamy. Islam came to be enforced, to be lived, to be practiced, and not to stay in suspense or to be regarded as a mere theory. It is realistic, and its outlook on life is most practicable. Look in the Muslim countries, where legal sexual intercourse takes place. And compare it to non-Muslim countries. You'll look at the difference and say, yeah, illegal sexual intercourse, where is the rate high? In Muslim or non-Muslim countries? Yeah. I think also the Bible tells you illegal sexual intercourse is not allowed. Jesus himself says, I didn't come to destroy the law of the prophets. The prophets were polygamous, they were not destroyed. So who are you to destroy the prophets? He didn't come to abolish their law of marrying more than one wife up to 100 in the Gospel of Matthew 5:17. So why destroy the law? No one. It is easy for heaven and earth to pass that one dot of the law to pass in the Gospel of Luke. Yeah, the law will allow you to marry more than one wife. So again, read your book. But Islam came to say only 4. Very realistic, not going to 1,000 words. Maximum only 4. Which religion teaches you this? In fact, it even does not overburden the men to have more than one wife, that you don't know some of your children. People have many children that they don't know any of their children. This happens. So this is the rahmah of Islam. Maximum 4 wives. Yeah. Also in bearing children, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. We do not overburden its soul except that which it can. Huh? So Islam doesn't force one to have polygamous wives, which will make you even not know your children. That is marrying, sorry, more than four wives. Huh? In fact, in this time and age, if you marry more than four wives, how will you keep all of them? Huh? Leave alone the children thing aside. Hmm? That is just in case. But to have all the women, will you be able to do equality to all of them? The Quran has already told us we can't, and we can't. So maximum only four wives. Allah doesn't want to. Allah doesn't want to overburden us. Let's continue. However, it is not correct that Judaism and Christianity have always been monogamous or categorically opposed to polygamy until the mid of the 7th century after Christ. The church used to permit polygamy, found in his Jews and found in the book Jews and Arabs. Their contracts through the ages. New York, Shocken Books, 1964 after Christ, page 184 and 185. Look for these books, Jews and Arabs, their contracts through the ages. A prominent Jewish scholar, S.D. Goiten, informed us that polygamous Jewish immigrants caused the Israeli housing authorities much difficulty and embarrassment. Subhanallah, look at Islam. The position of the Christian Mormons is well known. So is the view of the Afro-Asian bishops who prefer polygamy to infidelity, fornication, and mate swapping. In the United States alone, mate swappers are estimated to number hundreds of thousands. Look at it. Polygamy will also help you to avoid illegal sexual desires, but just have the control over it. Why don't you complain about the fornication? Hmm? Amount of fornication in its Muslim countries and your country, which one is high? I urge you to read books by Jimmy Swaggart and see for yourself. Like one of his books, Incest, the dark stain on the society. Why don't you look at what your Christian fellows do to their daughters, mothers to their sons? But you come to Islam, of which such things like polygamy in Islam has permitted to also meet your sexual desires too. Yeah. But it's not a must. Also, man has been polygamous in nature. Yeah. But that polygamous nature has to be met with certain conditions. So, all these things come from Paul. You know, don't be polygamous. What? But what did Jesus say about the law, that it won't disappear? But Paul said it disappeared by Jesus being crucified. So you follow Paul. So let not Paul save himself. He says, I caught you by a niche. If my lie tells about the truth of God, why you still call me a liar? In the book of 1 Corinthians, to the Jews I was a Jew, to those without, to those with the law, to those without the law, I was the one without a law, doing this for the sake of the gospel. Yeah. Himself, he portrays his deceiving nature. So instead of following Jesus, you follow Paul. Prohibition of polyandry in Islam, it suits the sound human nature, answering the question of polyandry, and is so applicable in most parts of the globe that I wonder how one could raise the question, do you permit this practice in your city? Woman, in fact, is like a pot. Could we put two opposites in a single pot? The tradition of polyandry was well known before the advent of Islam, and now in some primary and cluttered places of the world. But Islam absolutely forbids it. Yeah. Abrahamic faith, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, nothing has happened in this way. Yeah. Psychological nature of man. Is polygamous. So again, Islam meets somebody with his nature. Islam meets both men and women with their nature. Yeah. So let us continue. So the woman is like a pot. Could we put two opposites in a single pot? Yeah. Think about it. As to a question about the prohibition of a Muslim woman's getting married to a non-Muslim man, it seems strange for the Christian law regards differences in religion as a factor that invalidates the bond of marriage. In Christianity, moreover, the Orthodox is not permitted to marry from amongst the Catholics. Okay, this is the first time I've heard such a thing. But this Catholic cannot go to the Protestant church. Yeah, so differences also be against you. Imagine you cannot worship with a wife with a different denomination in her church, and she can't worship in your church. Huh? For after all, Islam is there to dominate over all religions, as the Quran said. So, as a man, supposed to dominate over a woman, not by killing her, and by protecting her, everything. What we don't allow another religion like us to dominate over Islam. Yeah, so I'm comparing these two. I hope you understand me. Islam is supposed to dominate, not to be dominated over. Yeah. So that is the logic behind it. Further, the children will be born, therefore they'll be following their husband, following the Trinity, church, things which Jesus didn't teach. But when a Christian woman marries a man, they follow the religion of the father, and also Islam will dominate. Yeah. Not by humiliating what the man is there to protect the woman. What likewise Islam is there to over all the religions, of all the religions, to make the religions to their original part of worshipping the true monotheism of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah, truth will dominate over falsehood. Yeah, not falsehood to dominate over truth. Yeah, because if a woman marries a non-Muslim, he will he will dominate over her in terms of a religion. What? Yeah, all the falsehood will be on her, and the children might follow their father in falsehood. So a woman cannot marry a Christian man, but a Muslim can marry a Christian woman. Yeah. So that it will come this way: truth to dominate over falsehood, and Islam to dominate over all the religions, since the only religion which is number one there is Islam. As we have explained, we have man and woman. Man dominates over the woman by protecting her what here. Similarly, other religion, Islam is supposed to dominate over all of them. Yeah, to destroy all of them, making them submit to the only one true God, which now goes to the other example. There's truth and falsehood. Yeah. So truth will always dominate over falsehood, of which it is Islam, which will dominate over all the other religions, wrong religions, and Islam is the truth, which is the submission to the will of the only true God. And this submission of the will of the true God, Jesus himself says, my bread, my food is to do the will of him who sent me. Yeah. So expect that will to be dominated over a Christian man dominating over a Muslim woman, in the sense. Logic. Musa, all of them removed their shoes, what? Bowed down, submitted to the will of Allah. Yeah. So the religion of Allah cannot be dominated over by another religion. That is the logic of a Christian man not marrying a Christian woman. It's because of this religious factor, of the religious submission to the will of the only true God. A religion by which himself he has mentioned of submission cannot be dominated over by false gods. I think also the Bible tells you, do not worship for false gods. Don't go near the false gods. All the false religions, the Bible also tells you not to follow them. Don't follow other gods, but follow only the true God. So you're supposed to be his witnesses according to the book of Isaiah, to dominate by all the people, by making them worship the only true God. So the religion of submission, the true religion, is supposed to dominate over all falsehoods. Yeah, that is the logic. Islam, in contrast, permits a man to marry a Christian or Jewish woman, but it does not allow a Muslim woman to get married to a Christian or Jewish man. Therefore, there are sound reasons for these differences that go as follows. Let me remind you, Orthodox is not permitted to marry amongst the Catholics. I've heard it for the first time, but I know they can't worship in the same place. So look at that. Man is the head of the house, the one who maintains the family, and he is responsible for his wife. While Islam guarantees freedom of belief and practice to the Christian or the Jewish wife of a Muslim, Judaism and Christianity do not guarantee the wife of a different faith freedom of belief and practice, nor do they safeguard her rights. Since this is the case, how can Islam take chances of the future of the daughters by giving them into the hands of people who neither honor their religion, as I've just explained? All the other religions, Christianity and Judaism, don't do according to what their prophets did, like removing their shoes, prostrating downward. They're all into different sects, this do this, but if they follow the Bible, what their prophets did, prostrated, ablution, Jesus prostrated just like the Muslims did. If they follow those teachings of the prophets right, they'll be Muslims. Since this is the case, how can Islam take chances of the future of the daughters by giving them to the hands of people who neither honor their religion nor are concerned to protect their rights? According to a Christian author, he said they're more practicing Muslims than Christians. So how can that be? I give to my daughter to be dominated over by her as a husband, instead of protecting her the way Islam wants he would. And many non-Muslim men, we've seen what they do. They have no boundaries. So you can't give our daughters to such men. There is a non-Islamic woman. They're more respectful than non-Muslim men. So this is also the case. I've never heard of a non-Muslim woman, okay, in rare cases, would cheat behind their husband. So that is the case. A marriage between a man and a woman of different faiths can be based only on the husband's respect for his wife's beliefs. Otherwise, a good relationship can never develop. Now, the Muslim believes that both Judaism and Christianity originated in divine revelation, although later distortions were introduced into them. He also believes that Allah revealed the Torah to Moses and the Gospel to Jesus, and that both Moses and Jesus, peace and blessings be upon them, were among the messengers of Allah. Accordingly, the Christian or the Jewish wife of a Muslim lives under the protection of a man who respects the basic tenets of her faith. In Islam, you're supposed to respect other people's faith. But if our daughters go to these other guys, for example, my daughter, a woman goes to a non-Muslim man. Okay, there'll be that respect of faith, but it will be very minimal. Pigs will be brought for at home. I'll cook and all bad things. But if the man is there, first of all, he'll protect the woman. He'll protect his house by falling into Christianity. All those unlawful foods will not be bringing it there, because his law will be followed. The Muslim man. So at least